So I've been thinking about the Path of Exile, thoughts around that in general,
Hmm.
and I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay.
I think that the follow-up announcement of we hear that there's a desire for PoE 1 leagues, we're going to try and get you some resources to deliver you some sort of anything. I actually found that more concerning because specifically the things that they pitched as, well, we might give you all new ascendancy trees, or what is it like to be a harbinger, are big swing style changes that granted didn't make it off of the whiteboard, so isn't something that they're seriously considering as needed for the game. But like that style of update, I think, is not what PoE 1 needs. It needs like minor iterative updates. Now, it is possible that a minor iterative update is actually more difficult to deliver than take a huge ass swing and get something wacky. But my fear is it stems from a question that my mom asked. My mom asked naively, like, what is the most popular game right now? And I don't think that that has a clear answer because games have a hype cycle, very much so. And like, if you're not on the upward swell of your hype cycle, then you're a dead game. And for a time, PoE 2 could have been the most popular game in the world. I think for a time it was, when it was like in the hip happening zeitgeist. And my concern is that GGG has tasted the bottled lightning and wants that again. And I think that that has led to problems for like Blizzard in the past, was feeling as though, oh, we've caught the lightning in the bottle once, let's keep dancing around in the rain and trying to put lightning in the bottle again. I don't know if that's necessarily true for PoE 2 because they have been less, or it's not a fair stance for me to take because they haven't actually implemented any of these like big swing try and get stuff.
Yeah.
But it's more so their indication of like what they could possibly deliver on PoE 1 versus what they're going to deliver in PoE 2. I don't know. I think that it would be better for them to give us a PoE 1 league, even if it's wacky and crazy and not the small iterative update that I would like, than no update. I think it's better to have something than nothing. But it is concerning to me that that is what they could give us, when to me it indicates they are only concerned about PoE 2.
I think they honestly thought that they would get no lashback, or not as much as they did. I think they were like, wait, Clueless? People like PoE 1? I think they really thought that they could just, cover it up and not actually think about it, but then they realized that no, turns out PoE 1 is actually the game they made. They're just compensating that. Like, they don't want to be doing this.
I guess. I still fear the ambition that PoE 2, I think, has somewhat rightfully earned them to have. Like, when they started PoE 1, I don't imagine that they intended to make a game that was the most popular game in the world. But like, they had that for a moment with PoE 2, and I guess my concern is that they're gonna want that again. Which, granted, we haven't really seen evidence of the downsides of that, because it's not only a bad thing to want to be the biggest game in the world. There can be good things that come out of that, but I don't know. To me, that scares me mostly in relation to what it means for PoE 1.
Yeah, it's over, man. It is what it is. Like, they're not actually planning on keeping the game alive. Like, they never were. I think there was a time before the game split into two where they wanted to keep the game going forever. But I think the second that they realized they could just split it into two and sell it as a second game, it was over.
Yeah, I also think that there's a time in the future when it's feasible to have them both, but it's not while they're doing the axe, and it's not while they're getting PoE 2 the legs under it. If PoE 2 were snapped into PoE 1 realm of having that level of basically just needing iterative design, then I think that they could have both of them and have like 3 seasons per year for both, so 6 in total. But we're not getting a league every 2 months. We'll be lucky to get a league every 2 years in PoE 1.
Somebody made a post revealing that they were the one asked to do the temporary ascendancies. Like, literally, GGG called them 6 hours after that initial YouTube video dropped, being like, holy shit, it's on fire, please, can you make something? And they literally don't even work for GGG anymore. They're literally just like a past intern, and they threw together the ascendancies. So this next event is literally just some one singular dude came up with some ascendancies on the fly using like temporary knowledge he got from GGG. They could all be made up, but I mean, it's from the Discord where a lot of other GGG stuff is leaked anyway, so hopefully they put a little bit more thought into it than that. But I mean, if one, I mean, who's to say one guy could cook?
In a cave with a box of scrap.
I don't think I necessarily mind the event style thing. If it's actually like see, I just want if it's gonna be wacky, it's gotta be cooked at least a little bit. It can't just be like literally what one dude can throw together in a couple hours. Like, I don't think that's gonna be sufficient enough.
I mean, like, as far as ascendancies go.
Yeah, but like, you need more than just ascendancies. If they're talking about an event to hold over the time, it needs to basically be like, what would a league look like for Path of Exile if we let everybody go unhinged? But it still needs to have like a league's worth of content.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
I mean, it could, right? If they just let the individual people cook enough.
That's not gonna happen, not because no one can come up with a cook. The issue is like actually coding that into the game.
There's like
hand over Path of Exile 1 to ChatGPT.
That's what that one guy was posting, saying that he made those ascendancy changes in like a night. I think they got the general idea that people actually want something Path of Exile 1. And you know, remember when they had that aha moment for Diablo 3 and they started making stuff again? All that really matters is if they can cook something and put it together, how bugged is it going to be? I share the same like opinion as I think staff and them share with it. Of it's great and all if they make these wacky ideas, but nobody wants to build the town a 17th time.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the problem, right? Is like baseline, the current standard of the game is build town.
Yeah, we can't just do a reset in Settlers.
Like, there needs to be a new base idea. I think it'd be fine if for this reset they want to just remove the town again. Unless the town was intended to be a core mechanic forever. But if it wasn't, then just go ahead and disable it again, right?
Like, I'm imagining if we had just gotten another regular league, would I be fine with doing the town again? And like, no, but I also like the end state of the town being in the game. I think it's a good gold sink. I think it's a good little side project to have going in the background.
I guess people want it to be a side project, but currently the most efficient thing to do is to make the town your whole end game plan. It needed to get the treatment that all other leagues get when they go core, where they get trimmed and tweaked. In its current state, people are, you know, done and they're over it, right? It's been 9 months, however long it's been. I think it'd be better if they just gave the town just disable it for this next wacky reset, but keep the currency exchange, por favor.
We can't go back.
But they also need to fix the way gold deletes shit. I don't know.
Does the currency exchange require gold? I think to some level it does.
That's because GGG arbitrarily wants it to, though.
I think that forcing you to kill monsters in order to use the currency exchange, I think is fine.
I think the cost is what's crazy.
I think that if you're killing monsters, gold should not be something you ever think about. But if you aren't killing monsters, then you don't get any gold.
They just didn't get the balance right on the first go for the town.
Other mechanics, like let's say Delve. Delve, you have to reprog the whole thing. That's like the entire point of the mechanic. It's also an antiquated mechanic. You have to reprog your Atlas the entire way. Legion doesn't really have any meta progression. Toto was that, I think. I don't think I ever plugged a Toto. I don't think it is viable for them to have a system like the town. For Delve, only the people that want to interact with Delve have to reprogress that system. Or I guess Heist is another one of those systems where you have to reprogress at every league. I'm sure there's more that I'm just not jumping to mind immediately.
Betrayal board you have to redo every league.
They're mostly mechanics that are like side hustles. They're not something
not
that every player of the game would have to get filtered through. Unless they found a way to make it something like a Heist or a Delve, and even to that extent Betrayal, where it's something that is not something that everyone wants to do.
Yeah, I think that's what people want it to shift into, right?
Yeah, I don't see a way they can do that though.
You just have it be, you build it, but like, you can't ever have a whole town, right? You just have a piece of it. So like, you can be a dock person or a farm person. Yeah, I think that was the feedback people wanted.
The reason that I think it doesn't mesh is that it's a background, it's an idle game. If you want to be a heist guy, you spend your time doing heist shit. But like, everyone would have to be something in the town. You couldn't not participate in the system and be efficient, because if you didn't have your town running doing something, then you're losing.
Yeah, I guess that's what people want it to be an option. Like, I think they can make it still be like the Idols type game. But it could be.
No.
Why not?
If you can send a boat out and then 10 hours later it comes back with a divine, that's not an option. You have to do that. Unless they make me go out there and row the oars myself to where it prevents me from doing other activities, then it becomes a divine per hour equation. It would just be an increase to your divines per hour to set it up. And once it's set up, like you could say that it might not be efficient early on, it might not be the highest divine per hour thing, but it on top of whatever you're doing as your highest divine per hour thing.
If it has an opportunity cost to set up, then you might just choose not to do it. Like the cost
But
of
the
resource, like
opportunity cost to set it up
would be the
is
ores.
different, yeah. But like the ores you're getting in your regular play.
Yeah, but that's because that's because it's the league mechanic. I imagine if it went
guess,
core,
but, like-
it would be a chance to spawn, meaning you would have to invest into it on the Atlas or something. It could very easily be to where you just don't choose to set it up, even if it is like an idle minigame, because you don't want to waste Atlas points on ore.
If they removed the grains entirely and it was just ore and you had to invest into ore, then it would be a thing. But at that point, like, why have the boats take time to return your shit? Why not just have them immediately trade the ore for your stuff?
I don't know. They want a different style league mechanic.
I guess.
Variety, I guess, would be the reason for any design choices at that point.
Because the anticipation makes the loads larger. I understand. Like the other thing you could do is have it to where it's not a meta progression system. Like you have like, or it's a meta progression system like on the account level to where like once you upgrade your town and you have your dudes, that's your King's March forever. And like the next season comes around and your King's March dudes are already there. The issue of people are going to be too strong gets alleviated by you have to get the gold income. Because like early on in the league you wouldn't have the gold income to sustain your Giga Chads. I don't know how I feel about carryovers between leagues. I have to think about that more.
I think it's fine to have a system that carries over. Just one singular. I don't know if they had to do every one of them. The town would fit that kind of description, though.
I guess my closing thoughts on Path of Exile stuff is that I think they can get to a point where they're running both PoE 1 and PoE 2, and we get some amount of leagues for both of them per year. 3 PoE 1 leagues, 3 PoE 2 leagues per year, I think is doable at some point. Source my ass. The hope springs eternal. Even if it's 2 and 2, that would still be 4 leagues a year. That is also, I think, accomplishable, but only once PoE 2 is in the state where it's getting, I'll say, small iterative updates, understanding that nothing is small. Game dev is hard. Well, something small, but not game dev. And the lapse in PoE 1, I think, is a genuine they fucked up, which on the customer's end, that's not something that is acceptable. But
1 year of settlers despair. Yeah.
I personally don't hold grudges. I think that it is better to allow people to, when they do something good, say that they did something good, and you don't have to always bring up the 1 year league. So I hope that going forward, trust is an easy thing to lose, and you could say that it's a hard thing to build, but I think it would be nice if it was an easy thing to build. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts. Is like and subscribe your closing thought, Egg?
Yes, like and subscribe. PoE 1 win. Honestly, at this point, like if they just want to restore a little bit of my faith in the game, like maybe make not be like what the fuck is going on at GGG, need to like I was hoping they would just have a date already for like this temp league. Like it's a temp league, right? An event thing. I guess they just assume, as always, if they throw out a date and they can't meet it, people get more mad. But that's all they've been doing for PoE 1 is throwing out dates and not meeting it. So
I mean, they never actually had a date on the PoE 1 thing. They just said, quote, we hope to get it by end of January.
yeah, but even in his video, he kind of knew that like, even if they didn't, he said it himself, right? Players kind of, figure things out and they just go off of that internally too. So it means that as game devs, they kind of know what to expect. They have an idea. They get that the players can figure it out. It's not rocket science. It's literally looking at a calendar. We're going to look at this real quick. So here we have Persnickety. It's called The Legacy of Freak. Legacy of Freck. I don't know. One of the sentences is called Harbinger for Witch and Gambler for Duelist. Grants sub greater Harbinger, well, recovery rate, sub greater Harbinger of time. So it just gives you a belt, right? These are all the belt things already. 100% increased area effect of hex skills. Temporal change has no reservation, is cast as an aura. Immune to curse while channeling, unaffected by chill and shock while channeling. Buffs when you expire 30% slower, debuffs when you expire 30% faster. Is this interesting? I don't know if this is interesting. I don't... This feels like...
That's a lot of cooldown recovery.
But where's like the damage?
Cooldown recovery could become damage.
Are we just playing a fucking discharge?
Mm.
It seems like a channeling thing. I don't know. But I'm correct in thinking, it's been a long time since we played the game. So these are the belt skills, right? Or the things that come from the Harbinger items themselves already?
I think so. I'm gonna check the wiki.
And then what do we have for Duelist? We have the Gambler. You have a 15% chance to deal triple damage, 30% chance to deal double damage, deal 25% less damage. Your critical strike chance is lucky, damage with hits is unlucky. Doesn't that contradict itself?
What did it say?
Your critical strike chance is lucky, damage with hits is
Okay.
unlucky.
Yeah, that's fine.
Isn't that just always a damage loss? Because of the way unlucky versus lucky works? Or sorry, not a damage loss, but it's no damage. Like you gain nothing.
Well, if a crit would do between 200 and 300 damage, then you're going to be closer to 200 damage. And if a damage would do between 100 and 150, then normally you'd be somewhere in the middle, but between it would increase your damage, assuming crits. Yeah.
Assuming always crit.
Depending on how tight your range is. Well, depending on how tight your range is and how much crit damage you have.
I guess. There's risk aversion, 50% chance to avoid elemental ailments, 50% chance to avoid being stunned. That's honestly the best node. Heads. Chance to block spell damage is lucky. Chance to block attack damage is unlucky.
Or you could do it the other way.
Yeah.
My initial
Overly
thoughts,
confident. Damage on enemies hitting you is unlucky while you're on low life. Wait.
these are bad. These are PoE 2 ascendancies. These are not PoE 1 ascendancies.
Yeah. Damage of enemies hitting you is unlucky. Wait, isn't that
While
insane
you're
for
on low life.
isn't that insane for the already invincible low life
Yeah.
what's it called build? The amulet.
Yes, that is very powerful for low life builds.
But where's your damage?
Yeah, but that's because this is a PoE 2 ascendancy node, not a PoE 1 ascendancy node. These are all bad.
Yeah, I mean, isn't the triple damage one actually not that bad?
I mean, once you're at 100% chance to deal double damage, getting more of that stat does nothing. The same would apply to triple damage.
It's a 50% chance to treat elemental enemy monster resistances values is inverted. That's a good node.
I guess.
It's the lead up. The 50% chance of elemental resistances to count as being 90% against enemy. Wait, that's actually pretty good though. Honestly, just taking accumulator, risk aversion, and then risky exploit and reversed odds, this seems pretty good. The left side is bad. Or you could just take overly confident instead of risk aversion. Or you could not even take
How much of
accumulator.
the inverted resistance? How much
Yeah.
of that can you get on the tree?
25.
Because if you get that to 100%, then the one before it's actually a benefit, not a downside.
Isn't this a defensive one?
Hmm?
Isn't this defensive, the first one? Like, this is for your defense, right?
Oh,
Yeah, this is for
okay.
your
I
defense.
read that as for the
Yeah,
enemy.
yeah. I read that at first too, right? But I actually read it out
Okay.
loud. This is your defense. Like, this is an insane node for your defense, no? Like,
I mean, if you already have 90, then it does nothing.
non-Orabot enjoyers, this
Yeah.
node is really good. Because every build gets to 75. You take this on your way to reversed odds, and you're gaming. We'll announce early next week when this event will be running.
I don't know that I am hype about these ascendants. Like, these are bad ascendancies.
I mean, the witch one's bad. I think the Gambler one is good.
I think it's not. Like, compared to a regular, like, you don't get these alongside your regular ascendancies. You're replacing your regular ascendancy.
Yeah, but I would never, ever, ever, ever play a duelist, so this actually makes me want to play one.
Okay, but like having to compare it to a Inquisitor ascendancy or a
Okay,
occultist ascendancy.
duelist is Keck W. This is better than a duelist ascendancy.
Like-
Slayer being the only good one. I don't know. For Witch, this probably is a downgrade, but for duelist, this is an upgrade, or at least at most a side grade. It's different.
Yeah, it is different. It's worse, and that makes it different.
How is it worse? Duelist gives basically nothing.
Right now, Slayer is 16% of the league in Settlers.
It depends on which ascendancy this one is replacing.
I think they're replacing all of the ascendancies. I think if you play a duelist, you have to be a gambler.
No, there's 19 new ascendancies.
Oh,
They're drip feeding us one at a time, is what they said at the top here.
well, I can't read, so...
Okay.
Okay, sure, but you're going to have a lower power level of ascendancies across the board if this is the power level we can expect from all the ascendancies.
And that's what I'm saying is I think Gambler is more damage than like a champion gets right now. Like if Gambler is the substitute for champion, it's an upgrade. And honestly, whatever is the substitute for Gladiator would probably be an upgrade to current Gladiator. Now there are some ascendancies they won't be. Like Slayer probably won't. There probably won't be an equivalent. There probably won't be something as good as Trickster. I'm gonna guess Harbinger is probably the substitute for Necromancer, and then Servant of Arcali will probably be the substitute for Occultist. I mean, it's going to be hard to be better than Necromancer and Occultist, right? But like, you could be better than Elementalist, for sure, with something. Honestly, this is probably an upgrade over Elementalist. Elementalist is kind of trash right now. I think that they are going for more of the PoE 2 style, right? Where it's gameplay altering.
The PoE 2-ness of this one is like, it's just weak. It just isn't...
It's Chronomancer.
It doesn't... It doesn't say more damage on it.
What do these skills do? The Harbingers.
Which Harbingers do we get access to?
Arcane, Time, and Focus.
Arcane comes from Rippling Thoughts. Minion will cast Arcane Surge on the player, granting more spell damage and increased mana regeneration. It has the same effect as a level 21 Arcane Surge support gem. Effect does not stack. Only one instance of the buff will affect the character.
Okay, so you gain Arcane Surge, is what that node says.
Harbinger of Time is the Miller.
Okay,
The flow untethered.
Then it's 100%, yeah. That was the change they made to the Harbinger skills when they did that tiny past them. They lowered their effect, but made them 100% uptime.
Harbinger of Focus gives you Unshattered Will for channeling.
What does that do?
Buff lasts for 4 seconds with a cooldown of 8 seconds, grants the following benefits: stun immunity, 20% damage reduction, immunity to ailments.
Weird. So what's cool about the Harbinger one to me is the 100% increased area of effect of Hex skills and the temp chains no reservation or cast as an aura. I'm just wondering about this immune to curses while like it's weird that they added some channeling shit to Witch. You can't self curse anymore. But if you're immune, it needs to say unaffected, not immune.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the 30% energy shield recovery rate is weird. The way they word that is a PoE 2 wording, but
The cooldown recovery is a kind of a big number.
I think for this Ascendancy, anything I would play would probably be... They don't have names. I can't say a name. I just have to tell what the skill does.
The Harbinger language is translatable.
Okay, yeah, well, good luck with that. Top 2 on the right. And then I guess after that, it's probably just the 2 on the left. It's probably just 2 Harbingers. The Harbinger of Time and Harbinger of Arcane. That way I can walk around saying I am the Arcane. You can recoil now and bomb it.
Yeah, that's already done.
Yeah, I think this one is unique and somebody will have a broken build figured out in minutes. The Gambler one, I think, is an upgrade or is a side grade to current duelist ascendancies and makes me actually kind of interested in picking a duelist. Also, this is goated, by the way. Look at how crazy this is. You've never used your map device, but
That's correct, yeah.
this is insane. You don't understand how much time I could save with this. It's actually hours.
I'm waiting for a ascendancy they announced to take my dick and
They're,
twist it.
they're gonna get the Templar and you're gonna be fucking yoinked and twisted, so...
I guess so, yeah. I guess that's what I'm waiting for.
Are they gonna
It's
have
over
one
here.
for Scion?
I mean, they probably will.
Oh wait, they did say 19, so that means there will be a one new one. There has to be something for Scion. Just a baby version
It
of all
won't
the
be
other...
the Ascendant, though.
It just-
Unless she becomes, like, truly perfection and just... You don't get to choose two. She's just
all of them.
all of them.
It's one dude, what if it's random on character creation? You get one node for everyone. Yeah.
Per account.
Gotta make a new account, boys. Good thing it's a free-to-play game. Except for you need your stash tabs, but... The only thing I'm hyped about here is this change. This was a very requested change that isn't, you know, a thrown-together event change. This is an actual update. It is so tiny, but if they just have, like, a dozen of these ready for the event, that's basically what I'm asking for, right?
Quality of life iterative updates.
I don't know. A part of me is like a beaten dog where I'm just tired of GGG just letting me down. And part of me is also like copium. This is
When the
this.
door opens,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
A part of me is like, damn, dude, this could be it, dude. This could be lit. I don't really want to do the town again. I guess that's like my biggest turnoff is I want the town to be core. I just don't want to do the exact same step-by-step formula that I had to do the first time. I think that if we're going to play, you should do the damage this time.
That's not happening. I don't want a complete and utter reformatting of the game. I don't want it to be wacky and zany league. I want to play my Templar man that throws out links and has some new league mechanic to go test out my build. All of my POBs are now dead.
Yeah, but we
Dead
enjoy
for
that
this
every
season, at
time.
least.
We enjoy that every time though, right? Like
I guess.
you can't say that because even if you have the same ascendancy, you still start from scratch every time on your build. I guess it's the relative of knowing that you will go
There's-
down the same path.
There's the framework, though, of knowing that if this doesn't work out, I could just go play a Mana Guardian. If this doesn't work out, I could just
okay.
go play an Aurabot.
How much
But,
of that
like,
is tied to the ascendancy at this point though?
I
Like
mean,
you-
Mana Guardian entirely, but the Aurabot not entirely. Aurabot will find a way. There will be an ascendancy that works for Aurabot.
Harbinger one sounds pretty nice.
I mean, it just gives you Miller.
And a free temp chains. We like that.
No, because you'd have to find a way to fit Tim Chains into your gem sagas. We don't have gem sockets on Aurabot to fit Tim Chains.
Just put it in a ring. You don't need Flame Dash.
You don't. It wouldn't be an aura at that point. You need that and blasphemy.
Oh yeah. But one of the most interesting parts of PoE 2 to me was the fact that we were getting new ascendancies.
But we were getting a whole new game at the same time.
Not originally. It was just ascendancies.
Sure. I don't know. It's not comfy.
I guess to me, the thing I want to be comfy about Path of Exile is the mapping experience. I would prefer radical changes to builds more often than we have been getting them, especially in the last, 3 years.
I can put on my optimist cap and say the thing to be good at is learning how to learn, and that the experience you have of learning all of the stuff that they're throwing out is still valuable because it taught you how to learn, and that'll be important for whatever new thing they bring in is learning it. But one of the appeals of Path of Exile is that it is something that you have to put a lot of time in to learn, and then you get to have your calcified knowledge base that makes you a superior human to those plebs that aren't good enough to play your...
I mean, I guess, that's the thing, right? Is we have so much knowledge, we know everything else, so if they change just the ascendancies, we can adapt.
I don't know. I'm underwhelmed with the ascendancies that we saw, so maybe they'll give me an ascendancy that makes me turgid, but
I guess...
with the ascendancies that we saw, it's man, I'd rather just have Necromancer, man, I'd rather just have...
But then, you wouldn't play the game again. Just a reset.
I mean, I would want to, yeah.
But we didn't play Necro Settlers because we talked about it and it was boring.
But Necro Settlers, it was a different time. It was a time where we thought we were going to get a new league sometime soon.
That sometime soon being 3 months from that announcement date.
I guess.
I get what you're saying. I wouldn't play for just a reset. For me, it's personally, I don't want to do the town again. I don't want to do the town and play the exact same path, but with less people, right? Because obviously a reset again after a reset is they're gonna have even less players. Who knows? Maybe it'll be insane. Maybe this announcement will have people pouring in.
I think there's some demand for a Path of Exile 1 league.
Enough demand to make them say there's a demand publicly. People pour in, shows GG they need more resources back. Yeah.